Good evening, everyone. Futures Brizio here, 8:40 p.m. on Tuesday, January 26th. Hope everybody's having a good start to the week. And as always, just make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you are just finding the channel first time, make sure you bring that bell notification. Leave any questions, comments below. Basically, what I do on this channel is just review of market structure and price action on the assets that I trade. Just give you my analysis. Never trade recommendations or trade advice. You got to do that on your own. But just tell you what I see and what I've done, good, bad, and the ugly. So let's just jump right into here and get going. So we'll start in futures, I guess. So here's the DAX. This is the cash market for the DAX, but this is, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I like to use the cash charts of these futures to kind of get more data to look at versus what you're going to get on a futures chart. For the most part, again, at least in terms of the price patterns, obviously the price itself is going to be a little different because it's a futures versus the current cash price. But the chart patterns usually are the same, and the price action is usually very similar. But the nice thing about using this is you can go out to these higher time frames, beyond the 4 hour, and be able to get more of a bigger picture of what the market is actually doing. So like I said, a lot of times I'll start with these cash charts, CFD charts, and then I'll go to the futures chart that I'm trading if I want to trade, and see if the same thing is happening there, and if that's my cue to jump in. So on the DAX, I did take a trade today about halfway up this candle because on a shorter time frame, like the 1 hour, we had this pullback, and it was a nice steep pullback. But you can see here on the 8 hour chart, it's still a very reasonable. If you look at this last pullback that happened back in earlier this month, you see this pullback here. And then so this was, kind of a similar looking. All of this is like internal structure going up here. So, of course, on a shorter time frame, you could look to enter like in this area, in this area. But if you're swing trading, you're really waiting for these big pullbacks and then just, jumping in once the market turns higher again. And until an area like this is violated, or now that we've started to go up and make new highs, this kind of becomes the swing area right here. So as long as price remains above this area, I'm still, looking at this as being a bullish market. You can just, obviously tell by looking at it. But from a price action standpoint, this is, what you want to be taking a look at right here. Okay, so obviously for me and the way I trade on these higher time frames for pullbacks, there's nothing else to do with this. I probably could have just held this, but I chose to get out at this just around this equal high right here. Wouldn't be at all surprised if this just keeps going, but I'll wait for the next opportunity. So natural gas continues to dump lower. I haven't taken a trade on this in a while because honestly, this was the last area really to enter this trade, was back here, which I didn't take. If we go out to a higher time frame, it is a little bit of a messy chart. Trying to really see the market structure here. Here's the weekly chart, and that's where I have this line drawn. This is really kind of the clearest pullback area on a longer time frame. We did have, let me blow this up. So on the 8 hour chart, you really could say, this structure area here, because this was the last low before this high was made. Price came down, tried to come up again. So really the hint that this market was going to start going down happened up in here, because again, it went up, made a high, came down, started going higher again, failed to make a new high on 2 attempts, and started going lower. This is really, wild price action. I mean, this is an 8 hour chart, so these are really big swings here. But it is heading lower. And from a seasonal standpoint, we might be getting to that point with natural gas where we might start to see it start to fall back anyways, again, just due to seasonals. as kind of winter pricing has already been figured in, for heating. And also with, Trump being in, production probably will increase. So that should increase supply, and therefore it should put pressure on prices. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see, price take out this area here. But I will be looking for short positions on pullbacks on the, say, down on the 4-hour chart. This was a good entry, like I said, but I didn't take it. So I'll wait now for another decent pullback here on, say, on a 4-hour chart. Although, again, when it gets to this level, it probably will see some kind of reaction, but I don't think that'll be enough to stop it. But we'll see. So, some kind of trend line break like that, or some kind of move back to the trend line would be potentially a nice area to, maybe look to take a short from when price, gets back up here, and, we just kind of see what it does. And then maybe, head lower for a new low. Okay. So, yeah, so that's what I'm looking for in natural gas. So nothing for me to do on that one right now. Oil. So I actually did take a short on oil today and got stopped out on here. So when it touched this trend line, I jumped in on a shorter time frame. It got into a small profit and then came up on this candle right here. It took me out. We did put in a higher low right here. However, that doesn't mean it's going to go higher, because, we've done that in other places. Right here, we had a pullback, higher low, up again, and then down. Same thing right here. We had low put in, started to go back up, higher low, up again, and then dump. So that's very common for this. So I will be looking to probably enter this again at some point. And if we look at the futures chart, you can see I've got a couple of price alarms set right here off to the right. You see these two price alarms. So basically, on a really short time frame, I was looking for price to break this structure. We had this we had price come up here. This is where I got stopped out, I think, right around here. And then prices come up. We had put in this low candle, and we came back again. And so I have an alarm set. If price comes down, takes out this low, I'd probably be inclined to take another short position as we've retested the trend line. If it's going to break and go higher, you can see I have another alert set for up here. You can see this right here, which basically clears this recent swing high. I'd want to see price close pretty decisively above here, and then hopefully get a little pullback before going higher. But my bias on this is still, short, just by the way the chart looks. So we'll see. Price has kind of been chopping around really since earlier today. Hasn't really, once it rallied up here, it just kind of stalled out. Tried to go lower, snapped back, and then just basically went sideways the rest of the day. So nothing to do, but I will be keeping an eye on this, and potentially looking for a short position in here. Now on the futures chart, you can see if you go to the 6-hour time frame, you can really see this level. This is the most recent level, or the closest level where price had previously reacted to the upside. It's not the closest swing. That actually happened right here when price rallied up here, came down, took out this swing right here. That triggered this downtrend. Now we've come to the next area of market structure here on this higher time frame, which is in here. So I do think there's some caution to be said for price coming into this zone, which it did tap into this area and then rejected. It does not mean it's going to, we're going to turn around and go higher. This area obviously is being watched by a lot of traders. There was probably a lot of profit taking on shorts coming into this zone. And then there were probably a lot of buyers trying to pick a bottom here and jumping in to long positions when price came into the zone and rejected. And so, you have kind of a lot of self-fulfilling price action, because obviously I'm not the only one that sees this level. So that's why I think it's important to be patient with this one, just in case it is a reaction from here that sends price higher. Obviously, you can see we had very bullish price action coming out of this area, some really big candles. So clearly there was a lot of very big buyers in this area. If price does not hold this area and we break through here, then, I think this will fall, back down towards these lows. But I think it's at an area right now. I think, for me, I have to be at least a little bit cautious about what price will do coming out of the zone. We are clearly in a downtrend. We're respecting this trend line. But, it is at a point where there could be some significant buying coming into this area. But if this area holds and we continue to push back lower again, then I do think that price will smash through this area and keep going lower. Take out all these people that went long in here. Probably a lot of stop orders sitting, below this low right here. So if price is able to push through this zone, that selling probably will accelerate through the zone. The buyers probably will try to step in and hold price up again, but I think if it gets to that point, it probably will break through. Okay, so that's the what I'm looking at with crude oil right now, but I did take a loss on that today. So whatever, it is what it is. And then lastly on copper, so let me go out. This is the cash copper chart. Make this a little easier to read. So clearly we're in a downtrend. I have a channel drawn here, but I have more of an interest in the top of this trend line than the bottom part. But obviously we've got two touches to the top of this trend line trending lower. And so there's nothing for me to do on this chart right now, except to, wait for price to rally back higher. I'd like to see it, come back towards the trend line. Kind of like what we saw in natural gas, have it come back towards the trend line and then look to potentially sell again. I think this probably will continue low, or probably see it test this lower trend line and then see a bounce. This is a very clear channel. Now, a lot of times these channels can be very corrective in nature so we had this previous up move, and channels often are when price is respecting an upper and lower trend line. Can sometimes suggest that it's a corrective move, which means eventually this will blast higher again, and that might be the case. So again, what I would prefer to do at this point is to wait for price to return to the upper trend line and then see what it does. Does it, come through here and smash through the recent swing, or does it, hold it again, start to move lower again and stay inside the channel longer? Remains to be seen. But again, with the time frames that I trade on, this is not a chart that I'm really too interested in at the moment. So we'll just keep watching that. So really for me, it's continuations in the DAX, U.S. oil looking for a potential short if we get some confirmation. Natural gas and copper, I'm looking for just kind of putting those on a watch list until we can potentially move back into an area where we can get some trade continuation. So, all right, so that's it for futures. Like I said, I had the one loss and the one win today, the buy order on the DAX, and then the loss in oil. I did not trade natural gas or copper. So, all right, so on to a Forex. So I did take a little short on EuroCAD today, which exited, which I was in up here, and I got out at this low. Price did continue to try to poke lower and then just move sideways. And so I'm now out of that trade. And, the EuroCAD is kind of messy right now. If you go out to the really high time frames on the 4 hour, the first real major structure area here on the 4 hour chart, is probably sitting right here. So we'll have to see what this does. But, I did take a little short. It was a small trade. I was in and out of it really in about 15 minutes because price was starting to head down. I put my take profit right here, which was a swing area on a shorter time frame, and I was out of it. If I had stayed in it, I'd still be in it, but I'd probably just be, still in profit, but, I probably would have given a little back on these candles. So not really something I'll look to re-enter right at the moment unless we get, a bigger push higher, and then it starts to move lower and, potentially start to head back towards this this area here. So I am on my. I did take a futures. Funded futures, excuse me, a funded Forex account. I actually have a funded futures account too, and a small one like $50,000 or $25,000. So that's this right here. Yeah, $25,000. And first trade I took on it was a loss, but I'm in right now. I have small profit going on the Swiss yen and the pound yen, and you can see right here I'm up about $150 right now on those two trades that were basically continuation trades. So if I bring up this, it makes it a little easier to look. So this is the pound yen. This is one of the ones I'm in, and really I took this buy off this structure area. So we had this new high put in on the 4. We came back, and then I got in somewhere in here last night. Earlier today, price came retested. I did go into some drawdown for a few hours, but it's trying to go back higher, although it's not making a lot of progress. So it does make me a little nervous because it's just not seeming to really want. I mean, I was really excited when I saw this big bullish candle come back in after I was in drawdown right here. On the hourly chart, we saw this big bullish candle step in, but it really hasn't gone anywhere since then. So I'm kind of 50-50 on these. I probably should just let them ride, but we'll see. And it's pretty much the same story on the Swiss yen, almost the same picture. We had price pull back towards this zone. I got in, I guess it was somewhere down here. Then I got into some drawdown. Yeah, I got in somewhere here last night on the bounce off of this zone, probably this blue candle. And then price pulled back today. We got into some drawdown, and then, just like the pound yen, it's rallied back, and it's just kind of stuck at these highs right now. But, the way I look at a lot of these equal highs are retail traps. Where there's a temporary reaction off here. Now, this could go either way. Sometimes it pulls in breakout traders above these highs, only to have it reverse and go back down. And then other times it tries to induce people to sell from this area, where they wick it out, and then, people go short from this area because they see all these equal highs. Basically have 1, 2, almost 3, now 4 equal highs right through here. So this is a big retail zone right here where, again, if they plan on going lower, they send a price, they send price just above these highs, try to pull people into as breakout traders to go long, or they but only to want to go short, or people will just sell from this area, trying to jump that shark, and then it ends up blasting through and going higher. So I don't know if I want to get caught in that either way, so I'll think about what I want to do with those two trades. But currently I am in them. The other ones to watch in terms of the Forex pairs I watch is the pound US dollar. You can see here on the 4-hour chart, we have been rallying higher. We put in this new high. We're now back to this area right in here, to this support layer. And zoom in a little bit. Right, put in this high, came back to the support layer. Now we've been accumulating in here. We do have U.S. news tomorrow morning, economic news, CPI, PPI tomorrow morning. So that's probably going to really drive this one way or another. I think that's probably what the market is waiting for that economic news. And based on the chart pattern, I have no idea how the news is going to come out. I don't try to guess that. But based on the chart pattern, you would think this is probably going to try to go higher, but we'll see. Again, not something I want to just necessarily jump in on, because if you're wrong, you'll be in a huge loss within seconds. So it is a little bit of a risk, if you want to just try to predict it and say, well, based on the price action, price is going to go higher. And then if it does and you're not in, of course, you kick yourself. But if it doesn't and it dumps, then you're like, whew, glad I didn't get into that. So, but that's trading, right? And of course, on the opposite side, then would be the dollar Swiss. And the dollar Swiss, If we zoom out a little bit, now on this one, it looks a little bit like the pound US dollar in terms of the price action, but notice on this one, it's a little different because on the 4-hour chart, we did break this market structure, right? So this was the last swing low before this high was put in. We came down here, we poked through here, we actually closed basically 2 candles, even though this is a bullish candle. We actually closed 2 candles below this level, and now we've pulled back into the range. And you can see on a shorter time frame where I've got this line drawn. This is kind of like the reaction line for me. If price stays below here, then I'm still considering that this might try to move lower. You can see on the hourly chart we had this big push down, broke through these levels, retraced all the way up, basically at 100% retracement, and then started to move lower again. So again, however the pound USD goes that I just showed you, this will go the opposite way. Right now it does kind of line up that the dollar Swiss will go lower and the pound USD will go higher, but we'll have to see. And then if we look at US dollar yen and we zoom out a little bit, US dollar yen was going higher. We did break, excuse me, we did break market structure on the higher time frame. Probably around here. So again, this would feed into our theory about potentially seeing dollar weakness coming into the market, right? Trend line touch, all these trend line touches. We're back at it now after this new low was put in. So again, if the dollar does weaken, again, that will see dollar Swiss, dollar yen fall. Although the dollar yen, if the yen stays weak, then that will make the dollar yen not be the best trade because you're going to have 2 weak currencies instead of 1 strong one, 1 weak one. So if the dollar does, if the yen stays kind of neutral to weak and the dollar falls, this is not going to be the best pair to trade. You'd be better off with dollar Swiss or pound USD to trade. So we'll see. Like I said, there is important news at 8:30 tomorrow morning, New York time. So we'll see how that all plays out. That's going to ultimately drive it. Euro CAD we already talked about. Pound Canadian still is moving sideways, but again, we have that news tomorrow. So let's see what pound USD does. If we get that move lower on the dollar and this break structure, then maybe that'll be something to look at. The Aussie Swiss, you can see. Originally, I was thinking that this area would hold based on the trend line, but it did not. So I'm going to take this arrow off. I haven't traded this in a couple of weeks. But you can see, this does appear to be wanting to move lower. If we zoom out on the 4-hour chart, we can start to connect a trend line in here, which was broken a couple of days ago. So I'm not really looking to enter this now. But overall, the Aussie Swiss does remain weak. The Aussie yen is kind of not really doing much because, again, if the Aussie is weak and the yen is weak, then that's going to cause the pair to move sideways. And you can see the Aussie yen is kind of in shambles right now, even on the daily chart. We do have this big potential triangle forming on the daily chart, but on a lower time frame, you can see we're just consolidating. So it's not really anything I'm interested in at the moment. So for me, it's more about pound USD, US dollar yen, potentially euro Canadian, and dollar Swiss, but those dollar pairs primarily. All right, and so a lot of that again will play out tomorrow during the news, I would think. Probably be the catalyst to break those log jams and potentially get price moving again. And again, the way it looks right now, but could be totally wrong. Again, don't take any trades based on anything I say. But, right now, by the charts, it looks like potential dollar weakness from the news. But again, we'll see how it looks tomorrow. So, all right. So, so that's about it, guys. So if you have any questions, comments, make sure you leave them down below. Hope it was helpful. Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And smash that like button. Just do that on your way out. And any questions or comments, leave them down below. And we'll be back with another video, kind of update things probably tomorrow and see where we end up shaking out. So look forward to speaking to everybody then. Have a great night, and we'll talk to everybody soon.